All right, welcome to our official kickoff of Constellation office hours. This has been something we've wanted to do for a while, and we are absolutely thrilled to be doing it today. So this is going to be kind of a more informal session where we get to answer some questions and kind of talk off the cuff about some of the issues you might be having. So not going to go through a big deck or anything like that, but hopefully we get right to the bottom of some of the questions you are needing help with. So my name is Patrick Carver. I'm the founder and owner of Constellation Marketing, and I've been working in the legal marketing space for over 15 years now. I started this business to help my dad, who is a criminal defense attorney, and basically the solutions we worked on there worked and allowed him to scale his business, which allowed us to meet other people who needed the same solution. And we've had a really good business. We've been really excited to welcome. So we were just getting into the office hours, and I was just doing a quick introduction of myself. My name is Patrick Carver. I'm the CEO and founder of Constellation Marketing, and we've been in business for about 10 years now. And this, we started this business to help my dad, who is a criminal defense attorney. And since then, we've grown to 85 clients. We are super proud to have been named to the Inc. 5000 list last year. And the thing we're most excited about is our retention rate. So we lose less than 1% of clients each month due to us being focused exclusively on your ROI and just giving you a great overall experience. So thank you for joining, and we will get into the questions here right now. So thank you for coming on a Friday. I know you're probably, if you're like me, running on fumes right now. We've got 2 toddlers in the house, and at this point in the week, it's absolutely difficult getting things going and finishing it out, but I'm running completely on iced coffee right now. So I appreciate you taking the time to join, and feel free to add questions or raise your hand if you have a question. We can get to it, but I'll go through. We collected these from folks who have asked them, and also some kind of hot topics that are out there on the internet. The first one we are going to cover is the question of, is SEO still worth it, or is it just too competitive now? I think SEO is still very much worth it. And if you look at the future of really the way people are going to find lawyers and make those decisions, it's still going to be search. So the big thing that's happened over the past 6 months to a year is the increase in presence and use of AI search engine tools. So that's your ChatGPT, Google Gemini, things like that. But what we have found is that the underlying data and information they are using to form those answers is coming directly from search engines. So they are still utilizing Google's search results very heavily and Bing as well to formulate those answers. And so for me, the SEO part of it is even more important than it was maybe a couple of years ago, because I think this is where everything is going. People are going to get out their phone and either choose Google or GPT to help them decide which lawyer they're going to choose. And so SEO is still extremely important for that. Now, to the question of competitiveness, is SEO too competitive? It kind of depends. I would argue that it's very competitive. I will agree with that. But I would say it's still worth it for essentially every law firm out there. And the reason it is because Google's constantly changing their algorithm. When you have a new market force like ChatGPT, they kind of have their own way of doing it, their own algorithm to present results. And so within that, it means that there's often a lot of change. There's a lot of things happening and results are shifting. So there's always a decent opportunity that you can take advantage of that. Now, the important thing to remember is that, yes, there are challenges to this. And the longer you've been in the market, the longer you've been doing SEO work, you'll be in a better position to achieve those results. But there are really only, I would say, one practice area where it is so extremely hard that you need to be coming in with a huge budget, and even then you may not get there. That's personal injury. So if you're in a competitive market doing personal injury, it is really expensive. There's no getting around it. And I would almost say it is, if you're starting now, maybe not worth it to go in to it. That doesn't mean you shouldn't have a good brand online. You shouldn't put attention and energy into a website and trying to show up in these new channels like ChatGPT. But just realistically, it is going to be a lot tougher. For other situations, I always look at this for the practice area and also the market size. And so the more competitive the practice area and the larger the market size, those are going to be the two main variables that dictate how competitive SEO is. But if you are in a less competitive practice area in a bigger market, there's still great opportunity. If you're in a less competitive market period, then there's still a ton of opportunity, even in PI as well. So, you obviously want to have an understanding of SEO, have a basic sense of what you want to get out of it, what the kind of the best practices are. You don't have to be an expert or anything like that, but you want to be enough to understand it and talk intelligently about it with your marketing provider. So provided those things are true, and you get with a good agency who's going to give you realistic view on what it's going to take to rank, then I say go for it. And I think it's absolutely still the biggest opportunity out there for law firms today. Okay, the next question we have is, what is the easiest way for an attorney to increase SEO themselves? So the first thing I would recommend is try to capture as much of the free real estate that is out there as possible. What I mean by this is there are opportunities to create visibility on the internet, and you can claim those often for free. So from a very basic perspective or example is a website. You can create a website today on GoDaddy or Wix or anything like that and claim your name essentially, so that your name is not going to be found more prominently on something like FindLaw or somebody else's attempt to, in a more spammy way, take your name and put it up on a website. But what often happens is if you don't go out there and kind of claim those spots yourselves, they are going to get taken over by FindLaw, Avo, and others. And guess what their purpose is with this? They simply want to collect eyeballs, people who may be searching for you, and then bring them into their orbit with a bunch of other attorneys that they are selling leads to. So their idea is to get people to that website and then package those up as leads, sell them out to your competitors, essentially. So website is the first thing, right? And you don't need an agency to do it. It definitely is going to work better, and you're going to have better results with it. But you can do this yourself, and you basically just want to think about it from the perspective of, what should I tell? What do my clients need to know? What are they going to want to know about me? And so that covers practice areas, about you, maybe how you're different, your experience, all those sort of things. But you don't have to be an SEO expert to claim that and get decent results for people who are already searching for you. Then I would look at other highly influential sources like Google Business Profile. Free to get. All you need to do is fill out every detail on it. Don't skimp on it. Make sure it is completed. That's a signal that Google looks for. Get reviews. Getting reviews can dramatically improve your local SEO performance and also tie back to your website. Again, totally free. It just takes effort, being organized, and the follow through to actually get that stuff done. Then I would look into other what we call citations. And so these are going to be business directories or locations where you can put your business information up for free. The first place I would start with that is legal directories. So you do want to get your information on places like FindLaw or Avo, but you want to control it. You want to get your information up there, make sure your website's right, add in your practice areas, talk about your firm, etc. And you can do that across pretty much all of those legal directories for free. I would not recommend paying for any additional services or like premium stuff. but you can get all of that for free, and that's going to give you an immediate boost. You can then expand that even further to other places like directories, Better Business Bureau, lots of different things like that. That's what a lot of our focus is really taking that like foundational idea and expanding it and getting it 10x your competition. But anybody can do these things I mentioned, and that would be a great place to start. Okay, our next question is, how much should I actually be spending on Google Ads to get real cases? So, favorite phrase in this industry is it depends, and it really does with stuff like this. The thing I like to stress to clients, and the way I think about this, is really giving them more of a methodology or a framework to look at this so that you can actually come up with a realistic number that is for your goals, right? And everybody's goals are wildly different. And so there's no one set number, because the way we think about this is we want to ultimately understand what it costs to acquire a case for you. And we break that down into a metric that we look at called cost per lead. So we want to know how many leads and what is the cost of each of those leads, how many it takes to get you a case. So if you are an amazing salesperson, right, you may only need 5 leads to close that case. Maybe you're not as good. You need 10, or maybe the quality of the lead isn't as good and you need more to get that one case. But regardless, this gives you a baseline number to understand how much ad spend, how many leads you need, and what's that cost per lead. And so then you have this number, okay, a total cost of acquisition number, so that you could see for every $300 or $200 or $100, I'm getting a case. And then now you have everything you need to know how much you should actually be spending. Because if you figured this out, then it really just comes down to how many new cases do you want per month. And you just have to do a little multiplication of, I want 5 cases, it costs $300 to acquire each case. Boom, that is my ad budget. The thing to keep in mind with this is that you won't get that from the first week, right? You're not going to jump into Google Ads immediately and get that. But if you have a good ads team working with you, they will be able to already take a working model, plug you in, and then you're going to get refinements over the next couple of weeks. And so really what we target for ourselves and our clients is that we want to get you revenue neutral or profitable within the first 30 days. So within the first 2 weeks or so, we've got ads going. We're starting to get clicks, starting to get some conversions, some lead data. We can then take your feedback and hear, hey, this was a good lead, this was a bad one. I actually got a case off of this one. We plug that back into Google's algorithm and get a better understanding, or help Google get a better understanding of what is a good case, right? Like, what's a good lead for you? And over the course of about 30, 60 days, you're going to start to find this sweet spot where Google is getting you progressively better at getting you the types of clients you want. So just saying this to kind of mentally prepare yourself for the first 60 days, it's definitely going to have some ups and downs. But then after you kind of cross that setup period, it should be progressively better, and you should be able to get a pretty systematic cost per case and a number, and then you can figure out what is that good budget. Okay, next question. Why am I getting so many low quality leads on my ads, and how do I filter out tire kickers? So this is a great question, one we get quite often, and it's an ongoing challenge. Just realistically, we do a lot to try and mitigate this, and I'll kind of fill you in on some of those specific tactics we use. But just the reality is that it's not perfect, right? And what I would encourage you to kind of how you should frame this is understand you are going to get some low quality leads. That's just the nature of it. you're not going to bat 1,000% where everybody who comes through the pipeline is going to be looking for your exact practice area, has the money, and is not somebody just kind of like looking for free advice. Because no matter what filters you put in, you can't ultimately understand like what's the MO of that person coming in. But that being said, we have a really great process for filtering out as much as possible. So there's a few layers to this. Number one, you want to be using pretty strict keyword targeting and make negative keyword lists your best friend. So if you're not familiar with this, negative keyword list is something that you can put in as like a defense mechanism where you could say, if someone searches this, I don't want to pay for it. And the number one issue we see with new clients coming in and a poorly optimized account where they're coming in with this type of feedback, I'm getting all these tire kickers, etc. We go in and look at what search terms are actually being used in generating the clicks that you're paying for. And we often find 50% or more of those clicks are coming from things like pro bono criminal lawyer or free immigration lawyer, different things like that. It can also, other negative keywords might be your competitor's name, or I mean, really a variety of those type of things that indicate somebody is looking for free, cheap, pro bono, etc. So we filter that out. It's, again, not perfect. It's an ongoing battle, but we have extensive negative lists that right out of the gate, those are not going to be, a big portion of that's not going to be a problem. And then we do that on a weekly basis where we're looking at the clicks that come through and really surgically refining it so that every click that you get is going to have as much value as possible. So if we see any that don't really fit in, then we add that to the negative list. So it's like a progressive, ongoing list that we use. That is a huge part of it. We can also do things like zip code targeting, where we focus on certain areas of a city that are going to be like higher income or maybe a different type of demographic where more accidents happen, or anything like that is a big piece of it. We also can improve this by working on the forms and what actually is required before it's considered a lead that comes to you. Because if you just add basic information where it's incredibly easy to just put in an email or just a phone number or something like that, people are, you're going to get a lot of people. And so if you maybe make people select the practice area and answer one yes or no question, like, have you already retained an attorney? Do you plan on hiring an attorney? Those little things have helped us filter out some of these people who are, just not really ready, or in a lot of cases, it's people searching for a criminal lawyer because their neighbor upstairs is loud, right? They just don't know that that's not what a criminal lawyer does. So we try to kind of attack it from a variety of angles. All right. Which marketing agency should I trust, and how do I know if they are legit? Yeah, so I would say after my career in marketing, I'm going to start a ranch that helps rehabilitate lawyers from their PTSD with marketing agencies, because the number of bad experiences I hear about, it's just off the charts with this. And, this is just extremely common, I think, for a number of reasons. But to the question, which one should I trust? And I'll kind of go, how we try to separate ourselves, or provide this type of guidance to clients. But the first thing I would recommend is looking at, number one, have they gotten results in your practice area? And for me, this is a very telling piece of the puzzle, right? Because there's no shortage of people out there who are snake oil salesmen, or just maybe not that good at what they do, but talk a big game. And the number one, reason I started helping my dad in this was that he was just so tired of the initial conversation with the salesperson where they promised the moon and, yeah, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, all of this type of stuff. And then as soon as the first check clears, they're pretty much gone and they're shuffling you off to somebody else. And that person may, sometimes good, sometimes bad. But it's not a great experience for the client. So I get it. It's really the whole reason I started this business, because I saw, like, if this is how they're treating people, this isn't good, and I want everybody to have the experience that my dad has had. So you want to look at their results in your practice area, because they can show you, they all day they can say, look, we're the best. We've got a certain number of clients. We've got, look at this award we've got. But you don't really know if they are effective at what you need them to be effective at. And so the number one thing you can do is ask, what have you done for my type of practice area? That will give you a very clear idea of if they have done it before, because law firm marketing is extremely competitive. There's no denying that. And you really need a high level of skill and follow through to be successful in on this side of the business. So if they've not been able to achieve that, if they do not have the results to stand behind, to me, that's a big red flag, right? Look at reviews, ask for references. If even if it's a small operation, right, and maybe they're just getting started, they should have at least one person or two people that you could talk to just hear a little bit more about their experience. And from what I've seen, lawyers are usually pretty honest about their experiences working with us, working with with other folks. So I think that's a big one. And then what I also would encourage you is, if you have made that selection, you want to kind of have that trust but verify mentality, where you want to be like you want to be a nice middle ground between no involvement or over involvement, right? Because if they've proven that they can get results and they have a process, I would encourage you to follow it for the most part, right? And then as you go, you want to be in communication with them, really having them read back to you what goals they set, what's the progress looking like for that, what are the next steps forward. And that really, I think, avoids a lot of the problems that law firms end up having with marketing agencies, is that they sign up with an agency and don't really talk to them for 3 months or 6 months, and then are kind of like shocked and burned to hear that, oh well, the results really aren't there, and we tried, but it hasn't really worked out, or something like that, and they get upset with it, and I can't blame them for that. But I think it's it's a two-way street, in that the marketing side, they need to have goals, accomplish those goals, or figure out a way to improve and work towards those. And then I think the client side needs to be active and help but with regards to reporting and having a hand in as well. So let's get to the next question, which is, what actually works right now for law firm marketing? Is it SEO? Is it PPC? Is it social, video, LSAs, et cetera? So the answer is really all of it, right? And all of it works in one way or the other. The specific proportion, or how I would formulate this for any law firm, is looking at how they want to grow. What are their goals? What are their assets currently? What are the opportunities in their area? So if you think back to what I was talking about before, with how competitive some markets are, some practice areas are, The strategy is contingent on some of that, because with the example I used, PI is insanely competitive for SEO. It's also quite expensive for PPC as well. So for that specific type of practice, if you are a relatively younger firm and trying to kind of break in, I would recommend LSAs in that specific situation, because it's going to take a lot of time, effort, and financial investment to compete with the people who are very established and spending $10,000, $20,000 per month just on SEO in your market. If you are in a less competitive market and you maybe, well, really any practice area, there's a tremendous opportunity for SEO and pay-per-click, because click costs are going to be lower. The competitiveness of the market for SEO is lower. And over again, what we find is that the number 1 and 2 levers or sources of leads and ultimately new clients for our clients is going to be through advertising or SEO. And it makes sense, right? Because we've seen in studies, and we know this to be true in our own data analysis, is that when somebody's looking for a lawyer and they don't already know your name, it's not a reference, they're going to get out their phone. They are going to get out their laptop and search best lawyer near me or criminal lawyer near me, etc. And so you have to be in that space. You have to be in that real estate, or else you're not even an afterthought. You're not even in the conversation. So the kind of the pyramid or the prioritization that we always recommend for our clients and where we see the best results, SEO and PPC are at the top of that. So I would include LSA with that. So SEO advertising. And then down the line, I would likely say video, social, and email newsletters would be further down that. And I like social and email newsletters because I think they're good lifetime value. They're extremely easy to produce, but they're not going to be big growth levers for your law firm. They are going to be most effective when you already have a list, or you have a growing list that you want to communicate and cross-sell opportunities, or if you do estate planning but you're wanting to break into bankruptcy, talking about that, keep being front of mind to generate referrals, generate reviews for your business. That's really where I see social and newsletters shining. I like video more and more because you can kind of create this digital real estate, very much like you are doing with your website by creating website pages. You can do that on video as well. And I think over time, you will see more and more video showing up in search results. I think it's a great medium to connect with potential clients, and it's one that we personally, as our business, we're betting on heavily for the next year. So highly recommend it. But at the end of the day, every situation is different, and so all of our strategy recommendations are custom for our clients. We have some different scenarios that we will use to kind of figure out what is your situation and what are your growth goals, and then we will customize what we're doing within our playbook to give you the best opportunity to succeed. Okay, so that's all the questions I have on here, but I would love to hear anyone else who's got questions, and I'm going to open it up to everyone if you want to be a contributor. I've got in there, you can add your question or put it in the chat, whatever you would be comfortable doing, and I'll just kind of stick around for a second to take it. But let me get a little bit of water here. All right, so one question that I know has come up is how important is it or let me rephrase that. What should you make of audits that are sent to you from marketing companies, and how seriously should you take those audits. And I'll fall back to the quintessential marketing agency answer is it depends. But the scenario that we see most often is that we have clients who will send us a report, and it's got a bunch of red, and it says you're not ranking for this many keywords, or you've got these critical errors or things like that. And understandably, it creates this sense of anxiety and kind of panic that it's like, oh my God, I thought I'm paying all this money, and what's going on with my marketing agency. And so we get these kind of frantic emails from time to time. And there are a couple things to think about here. Number one, from the start, these audits are kind of designed to create that panic, and are mostly going to oversimplify or over exaggerate problems that are being found on a website. And what is the most common scenario that we see is someone will run a automated audit report, and it comes back with a bunch of flags. The problem I see with most of these is that they are not using industry best tools for the audits. These are really generated or created as lead generation tools. And usually the methodology or the details that are shown in those audit reports are outdated. There's not really a lot of truth to them. And I would say the scope is greatly exaggerated. And as an example, you might have, I think at any given point, your website will probably show a couple of errors. How important are those errors? Well, there's a level of prioritization to it, right? And there are some things that are critically important. If you have a no index tag on your website, that's a huge issue, because that means Google is not going to be able to crawl your website. You're effectively invisible. But if you have a long meta description on a page or something like that, that will get often equal weight in the audits. And that's really a nothing burger for the most part with a website. So those, they can be helpful. We use audits, of course, but it really, the value is understanding how important some of those things are and prioritizing the needs for that specific client. So if you do get a report and it looks more, the thing I would look out for is audits or reports that look more customized, right, to your situation, or that there's been an extra level of attention to detail put in. And if it's all bad, then you can probably skip it, because if somebody's doing an audit, and they're not being intellectually honest about, hey, some things on your site are actually really good, here's some things I would improve, totally fine, get that, not a problem. We may have a different viewpoint or something like that, but it is totally reasonable, right? I think where it gets into problems are people really looking for scare tactics, right? And so I think you want to, if it does look interesting at all, or there's more comprehensive information, ask for a follow-up, right? Say, okay, this looks decent, but give me more strategy advice out of here, as if I was a client, and what you would recommend in a prioritized list, right? Make them do a little bit of more hoop jumping, and you'll get better output. And then that's a better value, or it's going to give you a better understanding of what may or may not actually be going on with that report. But I would also encourage you to share that with your existing marketing provider and say, hey, what's going on here? Is any of this important? And you can have a good conversation, educate yourself, and that way you'll be ready to go next time you see something like that, and just have a cursory understanding of those things, so you're not, it's not shocking to you next time you get one of those. All right, I'm going to get into this question over here. Thank you very much, Francis, and thanks for joining us. Yeah, so our pricing is fairly straightforward. So we have 3 plans that we start everything from, but we're quite flexible in that we have ability to do like a la carte services and things like that. So our starter plan is $1,000 per month, and that is going to focus on advertising and local search engine optimization. So we will run advertising campaigns for you, and we will also optimize, manage, improve your Google business profile, and a number of other things to help you get found in local search. And then we go up from there. And so in the next tier, we incorporate all of that. We also do SEO work with that. So that's really the most common thing that clients are going to do with us is, with that, we will build you a website. So if you're a solo practitioner, we often do pretty good deals, I would say, for solos who are just getting started and have small budgets, because ultimately our main goal is develop relationships, and we're willing to kind of work with you in those beginning months, so that you don't put all of your budget into marketing before you start seeing any of the results. So kind of depends on where you are, if you already have a website, some things like that. But I would generally recommend either starter or scaling, and we can talk about that more in a call and kind of get a feel for what you're after. If you want to sign up for a call on the website, we can go through a discovery call. We'll get more of your details, and then we can put together like a proposal for you. But yeah, I mean, we love working with small and solo law firms. That's the bread and butter of our business. So we definitely want to work with you and figure out something that makes sense for all parties. Awesome. So I'll just kind of hang out for a second, and I don't have any good stories to tell, I'm seeing family this weekend, so that should be fun. I'm not doing anything super exciting, but my idea of fun on a Friday night now is getting in bed by about 9 o'clock with a bunch of kiddos running around. Deal. So if that wraps up all of the questions, I just want to say thank you for joining us, and really appreciate it. We'll probably do this again, so keep your eyes peeled for additional emails that may come out where we do this in the future. We're going to put a lot of this stuff up on YouTube, so if you want me to expand on anything or anything comes to mind, I would love to get into that. I love talking about this stuff, and love helping law firm owners. So thank you so much, and I hope you all have a great weekend.